Hey everybody, I'm Holly, aka the Scientology Geek. Again, I look like straight garbage today, so I'm not gonna be doing a face cam. I don't have any announcements to make other than, as usual, join the Scientology Geek Discord. I'd love to have more of you guys on there. I do actually I do have one announcement to make. On the 18th, I will be interviewing a person who considers themselves a current Scientologist. However, they don't agree with some of the main church, and they don't think they've been to the main church, the main orgs, in about 4 years. But they still consider themselves a Scientologist. They just believe that David Miscavige is corrupting it, and that L. Ron Hubbard had the more pure tech. Without any further ado, let us get started in Data Series 11, The Situation, an HCO policy letter from the 30th of June, 1970.
Probably the hardest meaning to get across is the definition of situation.
Alright, so that immediately means we're going to look up the word situation. Situation, definition. Alright, the definition of the word situation: a set of circumstances in which one finds himself, a state of affairs.
One can say variously, isolate the actual situation or work out what the situation is and get the most remarkable results. To some, a dispatch is a situation. A small error to others is a situation. Yet if one wishes to know and use data and logic, one must know exactly what is meant in this logic series by situation. English has several meanings for the word. In the dictionary, it's a place, a state or condition of affairs, a momentous combination of circumstances, a clash of passions or personalities, or a job.
I don't know where you got the job definition, just from the word situation.
One gets the feeling that people are fumbling around for a meaning they know must be there. For our purposes, we'd better give an exact definition of what is meant by situation. If we're going to do a situation analysis by doing an analysis of data, then what is a situation? We can therefore specifically define for our purposes in logic the word situation.
So this is a complete redefinition of the word.
A situation is a major departure from the ideal scene.
But situation doesn't have to be a negative thing.
This means a wide and significant or dangerous or potentially damaging circumstance or state of affairs, which means that the ideal scene has been departed from and doesn't fully exist in that area.
Alright, so yeah, he's just adding on stuff to the word definition, to the word's definition, and just completely making it something it's not. Situations can be good or bad. They don't have to be departures.
The ideal scene. One is to work out or know what the ideal scene would be for an organization or department or social strata or an activity to know that a wide, big flaw existed in it. To be somewhat overly illustrative about it, let us take a town that has no one living in it. One would have to figure out what was the ideal scene of a town, any town. It would be a place where people lived, worked, ate, slept, survived. It could be pretty or historical or well-designed or quaint. Each of these would possibly add purpose or color to the town. But this town in question has no people living in it. That's a departure from the ideal scene of towns. Therefore, the situation would be no people live in this town.
Well, that's an outpoint, isn't it? Oh, these are the outpoints.
Data analysis would lead us to this by noting outpoints. 6 p.m., no smoke from house chimneys.
It would only have to be winter if you really want to heat up the house.
It's an omitted item. 9 p.m., no lights, omitted item. Dawn, no dogs, omitted terminals. 1910 election poster, wrong time. That would be enough. We would then realize that a situation existed because data analysis is also done against the ideal scene. We would know enough about it to look more closely. No people. That's the situation. Handling. Thus, if one were responsible for the area, one would now know what to handle. How we handled it depends upon A, the need, B, availability of resources, and C, capability. Obviously, if it's supposed to have people in it, and if one needs a town there, one would have to get a bright idea or a dozen, and eventually get people to live there. How fast it could be done depends on the availability of resources, those there or what one has, even as little resources as a voice, paper, pen, and comm lines. One's own capability to get ideas or work or the capabilities of people are a major factor in handling, but so far as the situation is concerned, it exists whether it's handled or not. How to find a situation. When you're called upon to find out if there is a situation, as an inspector or official or soldier or cat or king, whatever, You can follow these steps and arrive with what the situation is every time. 1. Observe. 2. Notice an oddity of any kind or none. 3. Establish what the ideal scene would be for what's observed. 4. Count the outpoints now visible. 5. Following up the outpoints, observe more closely. 6. Establish even more simply what the ideal scene would be. The situation will be the most major departure from the ideal scene. Handling. Just as you proceed to the most major situation, go big. When it comes to handling, it usually occurs that reverse is true, go small. It's seldom you can handle it all at one bang. Of course, that happens too. But just because the situation is big is no real reason the solution must be. Solutions work on gradient scales, little by more by more. When you really see a situation, it's often so big and so appalling one can feel incapable. The need to handle comes first. The resources available come next. The capability comes third. Estimate these, and by getting a very bright, workable, often very simple idea, one can make a start.
All right, so the need to handle comes first. Actually, I think the need to handle comes first. Then you need to know the capability, and then if you are capable, you can have the resources available.
An activity can get so wide of the ideal scene, the people in it are just in a confusion. They do all sorts of odd, irrelevant things, often hurt the activity further. Follow the steps given 1 to 7 above, and you will have grasped the situation. You will then be able to do A, B, and C. That begins to make things come right. In that way, most situations can be both defined and handled. Interference. Lots of people, often with lots of authority, get mired into situations. They do not know they're in anything that could be defined, isolated, or stated. They bat madly at unimportant dust motes or at each other and just mire in more deeply. Whole civilizations uniformly go the route just that way. So do orgs, important activities, and individuals. One can handle exactly as above if one practices up so he can really do the drill on life. The only danger is that the situation can be so far from any ideal that others with fixed ideas and madness can defy the most accurate and sensible solutions. But that's part of the situation, isn't it? Data analysis is done to make a more direct observation of exactly the right area possible. One can then establish the exact situation. It's a piece of freedom to be able to do this.
L. Ron Hubbard. So, this is a pretty short policy letter. I just kind of sped through it, I know. So we got the definition of situation according to Scientology. It's not that complicated as they're making it. We've got to know, obviously, what the ideal scene of a place is. And then the situation is the departure from that scene. And then you have to handle it based on need, availability of resources, and capability. Then we had figure out how to find a situation and do a situation analysis, and then how to handle it. So again, that was the need to handle, the resources, and the capability. Not all solutions are going to be simple. I think that this little section here is kind of important. Saying estimate these, and by getting a very bright, workable, often very simple idea, one can make a start. I think it's a way for Hubbard to justify his simplistic explanations and say that they're better than everything else. We did that, and then about just being interfered with during the situation analysis and finding a solution. He actually didn't ramble on for nearly as long as I would have expected for this type of subject. Like, I was expecting an entire policy letter just on what situations are. We already went through the ideal scene one. Handling is less than a few paragraphs. He did how to find, and that was just a banged out list. Handling, I mean, and then just interference. So again, this is a very short policy letter, and it wasn't as rambly and as many examples as Hubbard likes to make out. That's all I got today. So like or dislike the video, I don't really care. Comment with your feedback or questions, good, bad, or sideways, and subscribe to be kept up to date on future content. Join the Scientology Geek Discord. I'll have that link in the description, and I'll talk to all of you later. See ya.